My mom, 49F, read my journal, 21F, and now everybody is worried about me. I'm not a troubled teenager, I'm not living with my parents, and I don't act out in any way. I'm saying that to put this into perspective that I'm not some troubled teen who behaves in a way that would tempt their parents to read through their journal. I'm a 21-year-old woman, about to graduate with my BBA in a few months, pays my own rent, has a job, and a serious relationship, etc. My mom has broken my trust on several occasions during my youth. My mom believes she is entitled to everything I do, my secrets, my personal life, because she brought me into this world. She pitches a fit when I don't tell her private details about my relationship, and is obsessed over my virginity and if I've given it to my boyfriend or not. Well, I guess she knows the answer to that now because she read my journal a few months back, and I had no idea. In November, I had no job, no money, was doing bad in school, and was dealing with tons of anxiety related to my living situation, paying rent, my future, the works. I have a very strange relationship with the concept of death, and usually use the idea of ending my own life to motivate myself to live my life to the fullest. If you knew your life would end in a year, what would you change today? Think that type of motivation, but a little darker. I was so depressed that I figured I would plan how to end my life in my journal, and makes it so realistic that it would force me to make changes. I wrote down who I would give my belongings to when I did it, what the best moments of my life were, etc. If you were a parent and read this about your child, you would be mortified. However, my parents don't understand that I just have a strange way of thinking, and obviously took my plan dated December 31st way too seriously. I understand that this is not a healthy way of going about your life. I'm not looking for mental health advice. I know I have a strange way of looking at things. But at the end of the day, this is my journal for me, not my parents, not for my sister, not for my boyfriend. I keep my journal in a secret, a very hidden away, put in my backpack. I take my backpack everywhere. I take my journal everywhere. I visited my parents over the holidays and went to go hang out with my boyfriend. So I assume this is when my mom took her chance to read through the whole thing. My mom, mortified, told my dad, and my dad, mortified, called my sister, 30F. I love my sister and I tell her everything about my life. She has always been my favorite person, and she knows how I am. She knows I'm very dramatic and would never hurt myself. She calmed my dad down and told him that I didn't really mean it and he would not worry. But maybe he should be kinder and less hard on me. I now know that this was the reason my dad randomly sent me a lot of money over the holidays to try and ease my anxiety about paying rent, not having a job. I feel embarrassed and I hate when people worry about me. My dad phrased this as leaving a suicide note, which scared my sister really bad. But they did not mention that it was not a suicide note. There was a journal entry not meant for anyone to know about. Around this time, my mom told me in the car that she knows what I have done, and my future husband will not respect me because I'm no longer a virgin. I thought it was weird. I've never told my mom I'm having sex. Her confidence in knowing that what I have done made me raise an eyebrow. Did she go through my texts? Did she overhear a phone call? As you have probably guessed, I talk about sex in my journal a lot, and now I'm putting the pieces together, and obviously she read my journal. I'm frustrated, annoyed, embarrassed, pretty much anything you can think of. My trust in my mom has broken, and I don't know what to do. I can imagine a "you should have never brought your journal to your parents' house" comment, which is annoying because even I didn't think my mom would stoop to this level. I don't want to bring this up with my parents, however, because my sister trusted me by telling me about her and my dad's phone call. And I don't want to rehash the situation and or break my sister's trust. I guess I just want to tell people about this story since I am very frustrated. TLDR, my mom read my journal and found a pseudo-suicide entry, and now it's awkward. I just saw a lady get tasered for trying to snatch a woman's face mask to give to her child. I argued with my husband whether or not to post this because I'm pretty sure this will make the local news and I didn't want to burn this account just yet. But he won OPS, so here we are. Prepare yourself. This story has layers. We were at the dreaded big box store picking up potting soil because we were going to DIY ourselves to the isolation. Things aren't crazy here yet, but there is a 2 per customer limit on a majority of items. I assume this means everything, so we're getting 2 bags of each of a few different types of soil. My husband is loading the last of 8 bags on our cart when I hear her. I know it's Karen just by the level of unnecessary outrage in her voice. Are you kidding me? The Karen says. Not a lot of people were here in the garden center, but we all looked to her. I was almost disappointed to see she didn't come out with the requisite haircut. She actually looked like a frazzled mom, her kid tugging on her hand, and an overfull handbasket of groceries. And I had a moment of, girl, I feel you. But damn it, she was pointing at us. Karen, you can't buy that many. You are hoarding. My husband, yeah, we can. We're getting two each. Karen, oh, you don't fool me. I know what you're doing. My husband, so do I. Fuck off. I'm just sitting there, imagining all the ways I'm gonna rock his world tonight. Well, Karen huffed at that, spun around, and yanked the kid back inside to go complain to the employee working the register nearby. Now, we already paid for items. The employee had come out and scanned the bags earlier, and he could easily see the cart from inside. So he finished, we pushed the cart out of the garden center into the parking lot. And then the automatic doors open behind us, and I hear, now they're stealing! Just great. We load the soil in the cart and turn around to bring the cart back and look at the plants. By the time we get back, Karen has given up on trying to convince the employee we're Bonnie and Clyde of dirt and is now trying to negotiate skipping somebody in the line. She has a child, you see, in a handbasket. Well, it's just so full and heavy. Could she please just scooch right on in here real quick? It'll just be an extra second. She swears. The woman Karen is trying to skip is young, maybe college age, and wearing a face mask. Not a medical mask, but the stretchy kind you'll wear when you ride a motorcycle or when you're skiing. My husband has just informed me it's a neck gaiter. The mask is black and it has a scary wolf teeth on it that honestly made the girl look like somebody you should not fuck with, even though she was wearing a GAP t-shirt and flip-flops. Mask girl is just shaking her head no, and that's all I got as we dropped off the cart. I browse, pick up a couple plants, and we head inside to wait in line. Now it's showtime. Karen and the mask girl are near the register facing off, no pun intended. From the looks of things, mask girl finished her purchase and Karen stopped her before she could leave. I don't know if she grabbed her or anything, but Karen was still holding her full handbasket, so she hadn't checked anything out yet. Well, she hadn't paid for her groceries yet, but clearly this woman had checked out. Karen, but you don't need it now, you're leaving. My son could get sick because you won't give it to him and he needs it. Mask girl, hell no, you can't have it. Back off, lady. Karen, but my son really likes it, and it's obviously made for boys anyway. Why would you even want to wear something so scary? Mask girl, because I like it, and it has my germs on it. Why would you put a stranger's mask on your kid? Karen, ugh, why are you being so rude? You wouldn't just let us go through the checkout first, and now you're making my son very upset. Mask girl, your problem, not mine. And then Mask Girl turns to leave while Kellen manifests the biggest balls ever and grabs Mask Girl by the back of her mask. Let me take a side note here. When all this is going down, we're all just standing in line and watching. The register is still going boop, boop, boop as the employee scans items, but otherwise we are all just inside this hypnotic bubble. But when Karen reached out towards Mask Girl, it was like the bubble popped and everything made crystal clear. Not slow-mo or anything, but I absolutely felt hyper-aware. Like Spider-Man. Karen reaches out, people on both sides of me inhale loudly. Karen grabs his mask and yanks. A lady on my right yells, and my husband steps forward, so getting late tonight. Mask Girl tucks her head down, and she turns to Karen like a pissed-off bull with a bright and shiny new target. I think Karen was gonna say something like, "Don't walk away from me," or something, but all she got out was, "Don't clack." I looked around because the noise was so loud I figured the roof was about to cave in. But out of the corner of my eye, I see Karen spasm and drop on the floor, writhing. You see, little Miss Mask Girl had a fucking taser. I don't know when she pulled it out, this tiny little flashlight looking thing. But she laid Karen out with it. And not one of us moved for what felt like forever, like we were frozen. And then it was a fucking bedlam. Security guard shows up, more employees show up. Maskell is chilling like she's been through this before and knows what comes next. The kid is screaming that the wolf girl killed his mom, even though she's groaning and sobbing on the floor, and clearly not dead, but maybe wishing she was. The people that had been in line with us were all talking at once, trying to tell the security guard what happened. We hung around just witnessing the insanity for maybe 2 minutes before Karen started choking out demands for an ambulance, the police, a lawyer, the mayor, restitution, and reparations. My husband made eye contact with an employee and got a thumbs up when he put plants on our shelf and pointed towards the door. And we got the fuck out of there. We drove home in silence till my husband parked the car in our driveway, and then we just burst out laughing. Neither of us have ever seen anything like before. We live in a small beach town. People are super laid back and mellow. Karen was anything but, and I hope to never see her again. I don't care if you have cancer. My child deserves your seat. This encounter happened about 7 months ago. I do not want to insult your intelligence because you most likely already know that what EM and ME stands for. But I should say that EK in the story stands for embarrassed kid and OG stands for old gentleman, 60-some-year-old guy. The kid was very polite and sorry, so this story isn't about him. Also, I'm translating this into English, so bear with me. A little backstory. About a year ago, I was diagnosed with a cancer of the nasal cavity, stage 2. The tumor was quite large, but thankfully benign. Edit. People have pointed out I formulated this wrong. By benign, I wanted to shorten the fact it still did not spread into any other tissue. Thus, it was still contained, which is what I thought that would mean. I apologize for gaps my knowledge. To get it removed, I had to undergo aggressive chemotherapy to make it smaller. Thanks to the chemo, I had severe alopecia hair loss, which made the most of my hair and even my eyebrows and eyelashes fall out. At some point, I had to go bald, but I wore a wig because I didn't want to look like a skinhead / neo-Nazi. I'm 6'4" and pretty muscular, so I thought people would assume. So once, after a long chemo section in the hospital, I took the bus home. There's only one bus that goes from the hospital to where I live, so I took that one only to see it was absolutely packed. I felt like shit thanks to the chemo, so I asked a middle-aged dude to let me sit. He was very understanding and gave me his spot without complaining. If you really thanks, bro. 2 stops later, enter EM, a lovely whale with an I demand a pearly with a CEO haircut, and some 12-year-old kid. It took her roughly 5 seconds to see the bus was packed, start looking for a free seat, spot me and start marching, well, in her case, trying to fit in the aisle between the seats while shoving others aside, to me. When I saw her, I knew I was screwed. She then stood next to me and decided to talk to me. This is the conversation that followed. EM. Hey, could you let my kid sit down? Me. You mean me? EM. Who else? Me. Oh, I'm sorry, but I'm away from the hospital and EM cutting me off. So are we. Nonsense. The stop was just a few kilometers away from the hospital. My boy just broke his leg and we're coming straight from the ER. Her kid was standing next to her without any support, clearly embarrassed. Me. He's standing next to you completely fine. EM. Look here, boy. I'm 21 years old. My kid deserves to sit down. Me. Look, madam, I'm sorry, but I just got back from a chemo session at the hospital and I need to sit down and rest. I then moved my wig a bit to let her see my bald head. EM then straight up started yelling at my face. EM. Stop making excuses and get out the fucking seat, you fucking skinhead piece of shit! At this point, I was baffled. I didn't know what to say. The kid was trying to make his mother stop, and we had the attention of the whole bus. She then grabbed me and tried to yank me from my seat. I held on tight and thankfully didn't fall off. Now, enter OG, my savior. OG. Will you just shut the fuck up, you dumb cow? EM. Who do you think you're talking to? OG, with a ice stone cold voice. Stop assaulting other passengers, I'll be forced to step in. Also, every dumb moron can see the dude has cancer. EM. No, he's just a fucking skinhead. OG. He's got no eyebrows, you twat. Seems like that really offended EM, because she spun around on the spot and threw a falcon punch in OG's face. I was shocked and in disbelief. The whole bus was flabbergasted, and the kid probably wished he'd never been born. OG then said something unbelievable, and a golden, sweet coma moment followed. OG. Okay, that does it. Harassing passengers on the bus, physical assault against a passenger, and now assaulting an officer. You're in deep trouble, lady. OG then pulled out a badge and told her to stay where she was. Then he pulled out his phone, called someone, and told her she was being arrested. I couldn't believe it. OG was a bloody cop. At this point, EM was as white as a wall. The bus had just come to a stop, so she decided to make a run for it. But other passengers blocked her way. She then also got charged with resisting arrest thanks to this. 3 stops later, a police car was waiting for EM and EK. EK told me he was sorry for his mother's behavior, and I felt really sorry for the kid. He wasn't a bad child, but his mother was a hellspawn. OG then talked to me and asked me if I wanted to press charges, to which I gladly said yes, took a statement, and thankfully was kind enough to let me solve everything on the phone, so I didn't have to come to the police station for questioning. In the end, EM got some jail time. I think it was a few months, and some community service. I, in return, got a good story to tell, and the sweet taste of instant karma. Right now, I'm riding the same bus home, as I just got back home from the hospital after a checkup, which reminded me of this. A friend who's sitting next to me told me I should post it here. He, as such as myself, also couldn't believe that such people existed, but it seems I proved it to him. I should also note that the surgery went well. I was declared cancer-free in November, and my hair is slowly returning. Also, I don't need to wear a wig anymore.